Ramadan is not just a month of fasting. For millions of Muslims around the world, it is the single greatest opportunity of the entire year, a sacred window of time when the gates of heaven are opened, the gates of hellfire are closed, and the devils are chained. But beyond its spiritual dimensions, Ramadan is also one of the most powerful personal development tools available to any human being, regardless of religious background. The discipline it demands, the routines it builds, and the clarity it creates make it a 30-day boot camp for the soul, the mind, and the body. Yet, year after year, many people finish Ramadan feeling like they merely survived it rather than thrived in it. They break their fast with heavy meals, stay up scrolling their phones until suhoor, and return to their exact same habits the moment Eid arrives. The reset never happens. The transformation they hoped for never comes. This article is your guide to making sure that does not happen to you this year.
The concept of a Ramadan reset is simple. Use the natural structure of this month, the fasting, the prayers, the late nights, the community, as a launchpad to fix the areas of your life that need the most attention. Whether it is your health, your relationships, your career, your finances, or your spiritual life, Ramadan gives you the scaffolding. You just need the intention and the plan. Week 1, breaking old patterns. The first week of Ramadan is always the hardest. Your body is adjusting to the new rhythm of eating, sleeping, and praying. Your energy levels fluctuate, your temper may shorten, your cravings may spike. This is not weakness, this is your system rebooting. The discomfort you feel in week 1 is the price of admission for everything that follows.
Use this week intentionally. Identify the top 3 habits in your life that are dragging you down. Maybe it is doom scrolling social media for 3 hours a night. Maybe it is skipping morning prayer and starting the day in a fog. Maybe it is eating out every single day and spending money you do not have. Whatever your anchor habits are, the ones that define your worst days, write them down. Not to punish yourself, but to name them clearly. You cannot fix what you refuse to face. Ramadan forces you off autopilot. The moment you remove food and drink from your day, you suddenly become aware of how many of your other behaviors were also running on autopilot. You reach for your phone out of boredom. You open the fridge out of stress. You avoid prayer out of habit. Fasting interrupts all of this, and that interruption is your opening. In week 1, your only job is to observe yourself clearly and set your intention for the rest of the month. Week 2, building the new you.
By the second week, the initial shock has worn off. Your body has adjusted. You have found your suhoor and iftar rhythm. You are sleeping less perhaps, but more intentionally. This is when the real work begins. Week 2 is about replacing the old patterns you identified in week 1 with new, better ones, and anchoring those new patterns to the existing structure of Ramadan. The power of habit replacement over habit elimination cannot be overstated. If you simply try to stop doing something negative without filling that space with something positive, the old habit almost always rushes back in. But Ramadan already provides you with powerful anchors: the 5 daily prayers, the pre-dawn suhoor, the communal iftar, the Taraweeh prayers at night. These are consistent daily touch points that you can use to install new behaviors. For example, if you want to start reading more, commit to reading 10 pages of a meaningful book between Maghrib and Isha. If you want to repair a damaged relationship, use the softened state that fasting and prayer creates to send a message, make a call, or simply show up with kindness. If you want to start saving money, use the reduced food spending of Ramadan to open a savings account and deposit something every single day, even if it is just a few dollars. Small acts done consistently compound into transformation. The body, fasting as a physical reset. Medically, intermittent fasting has been shown to carry significant health benefits, including improved insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation, cellular autophagy, the body's self-cleaning process, and better metabolic health. Ramadan is essentially a 30-day practice of one of the most studied forms of intermittent fasting in the world. But whether or not you are motivated by the science, the physical experience of fasting teaches you something no nutritionist can. You do not need as much food as you think you do. The trap that ruins the physical benefits of Ramadan for many people is the iftar table. After a long day of fasting, it is deeply tempting to compensate by eating everything in sight: fried foods, heavy curries, sugary drinks, and desserts piled high. This is understandable, but it defeats much of the body's reset. Try instead to break your fast with dates and water, as the Prophet Muhammad taught, and then eat a light, balanced meal. Give your body 20 minutes before going back for more. You will be surprised how little you actually need. Ramadan is also an opportunity to cut out the substances and behaviors that damage your physical health. If you smoke, use the momentum of Ramadan, where you are already abstaining from things during the day, to quit for good. If you subsist on caffeine and junk food, use suhoor as an opportunity to eat clean, nourishing food that fuels the long hours ahead. Your body is in a heightened state of renewal during Ramadan. Honor it. The mind, reclaiming your attention. We live in the age of the attention economy, and our minds are losing. The average adult spends over 6 hours a day on screens. Social media platforms are engineered by some of the brightest minds in the world to keep you scrolling, comparing, and consuming. The result is a generation of people who are technically connected to everyone but genuinely present with no one, not their families, not their work, and not themselves. Ramadan is a natural detox for the distracted mind. When you are fasting and praying and reciting Quran, there is simply less mental bandwidth for mindless consumption. Use this narrowing of attention as an invitation to reclaim your focus deliberately. Set screen time limits on your phone, delete the apps that steal the most hours from your day. Replace that time with something that actually builds your life, a skill you have been meaning to learn, a project you have been postponing, or simply the deep, undistracted conversations with the people you love most. There is a concept in Islamic spirituality called muraqabah, which roughly translates to self-watchfulness, the practice of being consistently aware of your inner states, your intentions, and the quality of your attention. Ramadan is the perfect training ground for muraqabah. Every time you feel the pull of distraction and choose presence instead, you are building the mental muscle that will serve you long after the month is over. The spirit, going deeper than religion. Even for those who approach Ramadan primarily as a cultural tradition rather than a religious obligation, there is something undeniably powerful about the spiritual dimension of this month. The act of fasting, when done with intention, creates a particular kind of interior silence. When the noise of constant eating, drinking, and consuming stops, something quieter and deeper becomes audible. Call it your conscience, your true self, your connection to God, whatever language fits your understanding. The stillness is real.
For practicing Muslims, Ramadan is the time to go deeper in prayer, in Quran recitation, in supplication, and in gratitude. The last 10 nights of Ramadan, which may contain Laylat al-Qadr, the night of power, are described in the Quran as better than 1,000 months. To pray and supplicate and seek forgiveness on that single night is to accumulate the spiritual reward of more than 80 years of worship. This is the theological reality that makes serious Muslims weep and tremble with hope in those final nights.
But the spiritual reset of Ramadan is not only about increasing acts of worship, it is equally about removing spiritual toxins, gossip, anger, arrogance, dishonesty, and ingratitude. The Prophet Muhammad warned that whoever does not give up lying and acting upon lies during Ramadan, God has no need for him to give up his food and drink. The fast is meant to be total of the tongue, the eyes, the ears, and the heart, not just the stomach. When you take this seriously, Ramadan becomes a profound exercise in character refinement. Relationships, the Ramadan effect on those around you.
One of the most underestimated benefits of Ramadan is what it does to your relationships. There is something about shared fasting, shared prayer, and shared meals that dissolves barriers between people. Families that barely sit together for dinner 11 months of the year suddenly find themselves gathering every night for iftar. Neighbors bring plates of food to each other's doors. Strangers greet each other at the mosque with warmth and familiarity. The social fabric tightens during Ramadan in ways that are genuinely rare in modern life.
Use the social warmth intentionally. If there is a family member you have been estranged from, Ramadan is the time to reach out. If there is a friend you have been meaning to reconnect with, invite them to iftar. If there is a colleague you have been cold toward, let the spirit of the month soften your approach. Ramadan lowers the emotional defenses that make reconciliation feel impossible in ordinary times. It creates a temporary truce with the worst parts of our egos, and that truce is an opportunity. At the same time, be mindful of how you show up in your closest relationships during the month. Hunger and fatigue can make us short-tempered, impatient, and withdrawn. The discipline of Ramadan is not just about what you put in your mouth, it is about what comes out of it. Commit to being patient, kind, and present with the people who share your home and your life. The way you treat the people closest to you during the hardest parts of the day is the truest measure of your character.
The morning after Eid, keeping the reset alive. The greatest tragedy of Ramadan is not failing to make the most of it. It is making the most of it and then letting everything collapse on the morning after Eid. You fasted, you prayed, you transformed your habits, you reconnected with God and with the people you love. And then, within days or weeks, everything goes back to exactly how it was. The reset did not stick. Preventing this requires planning before Ramadan ends. In the final week of the month, sit down and write out exactly which habits you want to keep. Which of the 5 daily prayers have become more consistent? Can you commit to maintaining them? Which toxic behavior did you abstain from? Can you continue abstaining? Which positive practice brought you joy? Can you shrink it into something sustainable? The goal is not to maintain Ramadan intensity forever. That is unrealistic and not required. The goal is to hold on to 5 to 10% more than you had before.
Ramadan comes back every year by the grace of God with the chance to go further. The person who takes a few genuine steps forward each time, who finishes each Ramadan slightly wiser, slightly more disciplined, slightly closer to God and to the best version of themselves, is the person who over a lifetime covers enormous ground. Do not wait for a perfect Ramadan. Start where you are. Do what you can. Be honest about what needs to change and trust that the blessed month, if you meet it with sincerity, will do the rest.